It's 12:30, so thanks very much for joining us today. It's really good of you to join us. It's our first one of these webinars that we're going to be running on the last Tuesday of every month throughout 2023. You should be able to see a chat window and a Q&A window. And if somebody can pop in there that they can see us and hear us, that would be really helpful. Just in case we're talking, yeah, just in case we're talking to nobody at all. So I'm just waiting for somebody to message to say you can see and hear us. Can't see anybody yet.
Somebody's raised their hand though.
Aha. Let's see. Can see and hear, cannot use the chat though. Okay, we'll work on why you can't use the chat. Thanks very much for... Good, yeah, great. So people are saying everything's fine, apart from the chat seems to be disabled, but the Q&A is working. So we'll go with the Q&A. Thanks, Ben. Yes, I've just realized that we've disabled the chat. I did say it was our first one. Be kind to us. That'd be really good. By the way, we've got a giveaway on this webinar. The best question we get today will get one of our t-shirts. So I've got the t-shirt here ready. The best question today, we'll get that sent out to them. So this is the Alpha Tracker Tuesday Tips and Tricks webinar. Why on earth I came up with that name, I have no idea. I'm Robin, if you don't know me, I'm the director here at Start Software. This is Kim, who looks after our customers. You'll have met Kim if you've had any training on Alpha Tracker, or if you've had any problems or questions. Alpha Tracker, if you don't know what it is our software for environmental consultancies. Typically asbestos consultancies, but can be others too. And what we're looking at today is the diary and the wallboard. Now, these are central features that are part of Alpha Tracker that most Alpha Tracker users will be using on a day-to-day basis, but you might not be getting the most of them, and you won't know about some of the new features that we've put in. So we wanted to share that with you today. You can ask any questions you like at all about what we're covering, and Kim will keep an eye on the question panel and give me a dig in the ribs when there's a question that's popped up that we should be answering. Or if you've got questions about other parts of Alpha Tracker, please do feel free to ask them. And if we have time, we'll get to them. So let's just dive in. So you can all see my screen at the moment. I'm just going to switch to one of our systems here and go straight in to find where the diary appears. Now, I'm going to get to it by typing, I'm going to go straight into my own diary to begin with. So this is my calendar coming onto the screen here. This is my own personal diary within Alpha Tracker. And actually, while I'm here, I'll just mention this box at the top. You might not be familiar with the search box. The search box came into the product a couple of years ago. You can use it for searching for any menu item at all. So you can type in menu items into that box and it will find them, just like I did. So I started typing calendar and it found me all of the options with calendar in. You can also use it, by the way, to search for project numbers or quote numbers, client names, client IDs, even site contact names.
Really useful search feature.
It is. It's like a Google search for Alpha Tracker. So I tend to find menu options that way. And as another aside, again, in case you've not come across the feature, you might notice at the top of the screen, I've got my favorites bar, and these are all of the menu options that I use most regularly. And I've clicked the little star by them to put them in my favorites list. So any menu option in Alpha Tracker, you've got the star here to the side. If I click the star, it will pop it into my favorites bar. I can take it out of my favorites bar by clicking the star again. So if you've not got into favorites, if you've not got your favorites bar set up, have a go at doing that because it's a huge time saver. Right, back to my calendar. So this is my personal calendar in Alpha Tracker. To create an appointment, you drag and drop. And once you've dragged and dropped, you can either type in a project number or more likely you're going to search for a project number. Not many people know project numbers off by heart, although there are some people around that do. This is just telling me there's already some appointments for this job. Pick who you want to be on the appointment, such as me in this case. Start and end time will come up automatically. It's also mapping where the appointment is. That's doing that from the address on the site. And that's all you need to do. That's how you save a basic appointment. So saving appointment in your diary is straightforward. You can also move appointments just with drag and drop. I can move them to a different day. There are a number of different views of the diary. Most of you, I imagine, are using the working week because that's the most convenient, I think. Day view can be useful if you've got lots of appointments because you get more space to see them. So I know a lot of people use that. Month view is okay if you're not looking at many people. I think if you're using, if there are lots of people you're looking at the diary for, we'll come to that in a second, then month view can get a bit busy. But I do see people using that sometimes. The two or the three at the end are a bit different. Agenda gives you your diary in text form. Again, can be useful if you've got a very busy diary. Work shift and the last one just give you different sort of views, horizontal views and vertical views of the same sort of data.
Don't forget you can overlap appointments as well.
That's a good point. Yes, you can. So you can actually have overlapping appointments. You don't have to have one appointment finishing before the next one starts. So that's the basic use of your own diary. Let's go up a bit more complicated and look at several people's calendars. And I'm going to use the staff calendar for this. Staff calendar is where you're working to schedule the diary for a group of people. Now you can either just pick individuals like I'm doing here and bring them up. So there we go. So I've now got 5 people's diaries. Once you've got them in this view, by the way, you can select or deselect to add or remove people from the list. But if I go back to here, we've also got teams, groups, and offices that you can select from, and you can mix and match. So I've got a group here that says software, and that's going to give me all of the people in this demo company that are to do with software. You might have one that says asbestos, or you might have one that says water hygiene or fire risk. So you can group people.
Anything,
site staff or versus admin staff. Offices, if you're a big organization, you've got different offices set up. So you've got a southern office and a northern office, or you've got like we've got a UK office and an Australia office. Then you can also select people on that basis. And teams are ways of grouping people who tend to work together. So if you've got a senior surveyor and a junior surveyor or assistant surveyor working together as a team on a job for a few months, you can group them together and call them whatever name you want to call them. Once you're in the staff calendar, as I mentioned, if I just go back into that, you've got all the same views available for you. You can move appointments around in the same way. This can get busy. So this is where I think day view comes in. If you're looking at lots of people, then day view is really handy because you can see more, much more than you can on our good question already. Thank you. Helen, you're already in lead for the t-shirt here. Are the groups already populated? No, you can set them up yourself. So it's one of the screens in Alpha Tracker where you set up the staff. You can allocate people to groups and define the groups yourself. So you can call them whatever you want to and whatever you want in them.
Groups and subgroups as well.
Oh yes, subgroups, good point. So yes, you can have surveyors as a group or asbestos surveyors as a group, and you can have subgroups of people with different qualifications. We'll come back to qualifications actually later. So that's that. So that's how you put appointments in staff diaries. But how do the staff get to see their appointments? Because likely as not, site staff in particular won't be logging into a laptop to see their diaries. Well, fortunately in Alpha Tracker, you can do this a number of different ways. The easiest way, I think, is to link your work Alpha Tracker diary with either a Google Calendar or Microsoft Exchange calendar. So what that means is we use Google Calendars ourselves. So if I just hold that up to the screen, you can vaguely see my diary there. Whenever an appointment goes in my diary in Alpha Tracker, it automatically and instantly goes into my Google Calendar. But we do the same for Microsoft Exchange as well. So if you use Outlook for your diary, your personal diary, or your site or your work site diary, Alpha Tracker can sync with those. So that's really useful. So I wanted to mention that. I wanted to mention something else actually at this point, which is, oh yes, you can also Alpha Tracker. No, Alpha Tracker Mobile. You've also Alpha Tracker Mobile, which is our app in the app stores, also has the diary feature in. So if your site staff are using Alpha Tracker Mobile to sign off jobs or to look at asbestos registers or to do water hygiene work or fire risk work, they can also see their appointments in Alpha Tracker Mobile.
Jane's got a question for us on bank holidays.
She has. Can we add bank holidays to all diaries? Yes, you can. There's a repeat feature, which I'll show you in a moment. So thanks, Jane. It's a job we do at the start of every year, is we put bank holidays into all the diaries. And you can have special project codes for things like bank holidays, holidays, sick, training, webinars, that sort of thing. So you can have sort of non-productive, we call them, time, so not sort of chargeable time.
Usually U projects, aren't they?
Yeah, we call them U. Yeah, generally U projects, U for unproductive. Let's just look in a bit more detail actually at an appointment. So if I click to bring up the details of an appointment, let's just drill in a little bit more detail. So I mentioned the map before. You can do mapping from, actually I won't use that one because that's in Brisbane, and that's, as Dan lives in the UK, that's going to give us a very long journey. What I'll do is I'll go back to my own calendar and I'll pick up this appointment instead. I wonder if Google Maps can actually do a driving route from Telford to Brisbane. I think it would try as well. So here we go. Here's a job in Shrewsbury, and my home postcode is there. So I can automatically look map from the surveyor's home postcode or the site staff's home postcode, office postcode, or previous appointment. That's a nice feature. So if you're scheduling for people and you're not great with directions, that tells you whether or not you're giving somebody a crazy day. Let's have a look at some of these tick boxes. So we've got confirmed. What's that for with the green tick? We suggest you use that when you've confirmed with the client or the tenant, if it's a domestic job you're doing, or the house owner, that you're actually attending and that they've said it's okay. So you get a green tick then on the diary appointment. You can see that there. Tentative is the opposite of confirmed. It's like penciled in. So if you're blocking time out and you're just trying to allocate time, we suggest you pencil it and use tentative. We use that all the time. Cannot move, which gives you the lock symbol. Just take the tentative off. This is when you've either got a fixed appointment and the client says you have to be there at this time, otherwise, I won't be there, I won't be able to let you in. Or perhaps you've moved that appointment several times before. If you move it this time, you're going to be in trouble with the client. If you tick that, you can't drag and drop. And if you do try and drag and drop, it'll tell you that it's fixed. And then write-up appointments, this is where you've got some site work, you're coming back to the office, you bring in the stuff back with you, you've got some write-up time to produce the report. You can mark an appointment as write-up time, which is a nice one. I'll also mention incomplete while I'm on this screen. Incomplete allows you to mark an appointment as not being complete because, for example, they couldn't gain access. Not sure what reasons we've got on here actually on this demo system. Yeah, so we couldn't gain access, or the client cancelled, or the appointment had to be aborted. If you do that, you get a no entry symbol or other symbols that are similar on your diary. You can also, the site staff can record that when they're out and about. The importance of that is it appears in reports in the system to tell you that it's an incomplete appointment and needs to be rebooked.
Getting lots of questions in.
Loads of questions. Right. Let's have a go at some of these. Can we view the value of the job? Yes, we can. We'll have a look at that in a minute, but not on the diary view. Zainab, that was a good question. Yes, so someone's saying, can it make a suggestion? It can. There's a make a suggestion button. Also, this work will stop you doing work that somebody is not qualified for. So if I show you that feature, if I book in a job for Dan here, while I'm doing that, Kim can be reading some more of the questions. So if I book in a job, we set up a job earlier that
job objects raised.
Let's have a look. So if I do this one, we'll come back to that question in a sec. But if I try and book Dan in for this job, which is an asbestos survey, and try and save that. Wrong job. I picked the wrong job. Sorry, or I didn't pick Dan. One or the other. But if I didn't pick Dan. In fact, if I pick somebody else that isn't qualified, what this will do is it will tell me that Dan isn't appropriate for this job on this day. We've got a thing called the skills matrix where you can record who's able to do what. with expiry dates for training, and the system will tell you if you try and book something that's not appropriate. You can override it, by the way, and it's doing it by the role that's assigned here, and the roles are linked to training. So skills is something that we've just had a couple of questions about. So that's how that works. Right, let me move on. Or is there more questions? We'll come back to some of those. Some of those are quite advanced questions. We'll come back to them in a minute. So I'm going to move on for the moment. Where else can you see this information? That's important. So one of the most useful places to see diary information is actually on the project list screen, which is one of the workhorse screens in Alpha Tracker. This is where you see your jobs that you've booked in. And what you can see here, if I scroll across, is the first and last date that they're in the diary for. So at a glance, you can see whether this job is in the diary and when it's for. And if it is in the diary, you can bring up all the appointments straight away. So that's just in once on that day, and it's Dan. I think one of these other jobs we put in some more appointments for. Just one on that one, but you get the idea. So you've got this diary feature here. Now, I don't think many people use this, partly because it's sort of scrolled across.
Yeah.
You have to have quite a wide screen to access this, but it is useful. Another one that's really useful is projects not in diary. And we think this is a screen that is useful for schedulers as like a to-do list, because these jobs aren't in the diary at all. So unless they go in the diary, they're not going to get done. You'll see here we track contacts, and what this is about is typically this is used by people who are contacting tenants for domestic work. If they can't get hold of them, they have to log how many times they've tried, because they need to report back to the housing association, for example. Yeah, we tried to contact this tenant 3 times, we had to give up, they just weren't talking to us. So it's got that information on as well, but you can just use it as a standard sort of to-do list for things that need diarising. Another place you can see it, if I go back to the project list and bring up a job, these screens, there's a couple of places on the job screen itself. These screen buttons are slightly new. These are a new feature, sort of. They used to be in one button. We've split it into 2. So you can see all appointments by clicking the diary button, or you can see the appointments split by member of staff using the project staff button. A couple of clients told us the old screen was slow, so we've rewritten this completely. You should find that's much faster to use if that's how you do your scheduling. And then in the financials and planning tab, there's also a feature here where you can see all the diary appointments for this job. And you can also do something very clever with this screen, which I'll just tell you about now. So if this is a repeating job, so it's something you're going to go back to every month, because let's suppose it's water hygiene rather than surveying, and you need 2 hours each time. I'll show you what you can do with this screen, which is really clever. So if I go back into diary appointments now, I've added that. This shows you at a glance all of the appointments for this job. Well, there's only 2 at the moment, with a 3-year view of all of the appointments that are there, starting in this month. So that's February, March, April, May, for June, July, August, etc., etc. And if I want to book 3 years worth, or let's do 2 years worth, doesn't matter, of appointments for this, let's suppose it's water hygiene work, I can do that, or I haven't filled in who I want it to go to. Kim, would you like this work?
Oh, yes.
So that's now created a suggested schedule of monthly appointments for this job. I can actually create the appointments, and I can mark them as tentative or confirm them in one go. And in one click, I've just created 2 years worth of appointments. They've gone in the diary, and I could then edit them in the diary in the normal way, because they appear in the normal diary, even though I've just scheduled them that way. So there we go. So here's 2 years worth of appointments. And you can see I've got 1 appointment for each month going forward over the next couple of years, and it runs out in January 2025 or something. Good new feature. That's a new feature alert. I think if you do regular work, water hygiene work, contaminated soils work, things where you're going back regularly, I think that would be a huge time saver.
Yeah, we've got a question here about whether we can add several appointments under one project number, and that's exactly what we've done. Yeah,
That's
you can add
exactly
as many as you like underneath each project.
perfect. Oh, Dan, yeah, Dan, you can join in. Dan's also on the call with us today. He's shy, hasn't got his screen on, so he can answer some calls for us, which is super. Some questions for us. Right, that's that one. Final new feature I want to show you if you've not experimented with this. This one is seriously cool. Is what we're calling the map scheduling view. And I know some clients use this because we've had some really good feedback, but not everybody is. Now, this one's a bit different. So your domestic scheduling probably, and I think I've just managed to turn my camera. Kim, you might have to move over. Dan, have I just moved the camera? It's a clever camera. I think it's tracking me.
Yes.
Oh, well, technology for you. Can you still see Kim just about?
Yes. Yeah. Still can see Kim.
We'll have to sit even close. We'll have to sit even closer together. So what we've got is the situation where you're doing domestic scheduling and you want to fill diaries with 6, 7, 8 appointments. You've booked the work in, and I've booked the work in with this job number. If I pick that one, we should see some appointments here. So these are jobs associated with this master job. Okay, this is the master project here. By booking the work in like this, we can see the work on a map. And you can see we've got, if I can click and drag here, we've got 3 jobs that are in Bridge North, 1, 2, 3. And I've got 2 jobs that are farther afield. I think they're in Dorset. Yes, Dorset or somewhere. And what this allows you to do is pick a member of staff or more than one member of staff that you want to schedule for. So if I pick Dan in this case, here's Dan's diary. She's got a few appointments in already for today, but I can move and go day to day just by going here. So if I go to, let's go to the next day, let's go to Thursday, he's got nothing in his diary. Now I can, and I'll just go back in to where I was on the map. Now I can double click to put appointments straight in his diary, or I can use the plus button, and it will then start filling his diary from the appointments I choose. The really clever bit is as well that it will show you the route, the best route between the appointments, which is this optimize button. So you can sort of make sure that you're not sending him all around the houses to do the work that he's doing. This screen also has got text confirmations in. So again, aimed specifically at domestic surveying, you can send text messages to tenants to say you're coming. They have the option to in the text message, confirm that they're available for the appointment or not. Really useful feature. Good, that's the map scheduler. Bit of a whistle-stop tour, another new feature. All of these new features, by the way, are in the user guide. They're in the release notes. And if you call us, Kim can talk you through how to use any of them. She can set up a one-to-one Teams call or Zoom call with you and talk you through any of the features that you want to run through. A couple of the places you can see appointments. We've got automated emails. So you've got a feature in Alpha Tracker where your clients can get emails a few days before, the day before, even a few hours before the appointment to remind them that you're coming. That's a built-in feature in Alpha Tracker, just needs configuring on your system. So you've got automated emails to your clients. You've also got internal automated emails, tracker dashboards, we call them. So for example, in our own business, the night before each day, we get an email with everybody's appointments in for the following day, so we all know what each other are doing. I think that's the run through of the diary side we wanted to cover.
We might have another question.
Yeah, any more questions that we... Janice, you want to see the route planner in action? I'll come back to that once I've done the wallboard, if we've got time. We're packing in a lot today. Dan, if you can pick up some of those other questions, that'd be really cool. Well, we just get and show the wallboard. So the last thing I wanted to show you was the wallboard feature. Now, the wallboard is amazingly cool. It's incredibly fast and really useful. And often we find that our clients use the diary on one screen, if they've got two screens on their laptop, or their laptop on another screen, and the Wallboard on another. I'm going to flick back to another system to show the Wallboard. And let's show you what the Wallboard can do. So it's just a view of your diary. So you can pick as many people as you want to show the diary, show the Wallboard. I'm going to pick some people I've got linked to software here. And I'll show you the two views that you've got, the two main views. So first of all, see how fast it is. That just came up for February. I can go forward to March and go forward to April. I can go a month at a time. New feature alert, or you can also go a week at a time as well. If you're looking in detail at a week, you can do a week at a time. New feature alert here. You can now do 3 months at a time in the Wallboard. So I'm doing February, March and April. You can also do 6 months, brand new features. So you've got much better opportunity now to look forward. What is it I'm looking at here? Well, I'm looking at hours and appointments per member of staff with a total at the bottom. This is like a bar chart running across, so I can see where we're fully occupied, and then where going forward into March, April, May, we've got gaps and we need to start filling people's times. And the appointments, the actual blocks in the diary, so Dan's diary here in April, we color code the types of work they're doing, and the numbers show you how many appointments they've got each day. So by putting your mouse over each appointment and hovering, you get the full detail. So it's like a planning tool. And in this view, we're looking at hours, but I can instead, if I go back here, looking at the financial view, if you've got that enabled on your system, you can also look in pounds. So here, the system will automatically generate future income. So this is pounds per person, and pounds at the bottom here each day, and totals in pounds or dollars if you're in Australia, New Zealand. It'll show you the total income being forecast for your business. Phenomenally useful, phenomenally quick. And the other new feature that Tom's built into the Wallboard, which is so cool, is that you can now view this by staff. You can also view it by client, by project, or by type of work. So that means you'll be able to look at a glance at the income that you're forecasting for your asbestos surveying versus your water hygiene work versus your fire risk work, and over any period, either day, week, month, 3 months, or even 6 months. And that's such a cool feature. So as a planning and forecasting tool, the Wallboard really takes some beating, and it's so fast, so fast. So there's a whistle-stop tour of the Wallboard. The Wallboard is built into every Alpha tracker, but you can disable the financial view if you don't want everybody in your company to be able to, or anybody in your scheduling team to see the financial information in the Wallboard. You can just show pounds instead. Wow. So we've covered a lot here. I think we need to have a quick recap. I think that would be useful. So we've covered the basic diary features. We covered
appointments,
booking appointments, moving appointments, changing appointments, confirming appointments, marking them as tentative. We talked about skills. So we know that we've got skills as a feature. So you can have skills-based appointments if you want, including the system suggesting appointments to you.
Equipment.
Oh, equipment. We didn't talk about equipment. Yes, you can now log equipment against an appointment, and you can also, if I bring up a calendar appointment, something that we've been asked for lots. So as well as equipment that you can now log against an appointment, which is that button, the tool button, you've got an audit trail, which tells you who changed, created, or moved appointments around. So if you need to know why is an appointment in the diary this day, you can do that. We covered off where you can see calendars. We covered off Google Calendar Sync and Exchange Calendar Sync and reports and things. We looked at all the new cool ways of scheduling, including mapping, and we finished off with the Wallboard. So a whistle-stop tour. We've had a phenomenal attendance today. I'm so pleased because it is our first one. And I'm sure we've got loads of questions that we haven't got to. Some we've answered, some that Dan's been answering. Thank you, Dan. All of the questions that we haven't answered, I managed to break my camera during the thing. All of the questions we haven't answered, we'll contact you separately outside the webinar and answer them. And I think we'll pick the best question now for the t-shirt. I think Zainab probably asked the best ones. Sam wants to know how big the t-shirt is. We've got a full range, Sam, so you're okay. I can't remember how big you are, Sam. That's a rude question. We do have a full range. All right, Dan's going to answer on your behalf there. Yeah, Zaynep's going woo. Yeah, you won. I think Zaynep wins the prize today. So this will just tell us what size you want, Zaynep. Just pop it in the chat. You get our Alpha Tracker t-shirt. And thanks again for coming. Thanks, it's our first one. Sorry if we had a couple of hiccups. We'll get better at this. Next month we'll cover. What should we cover next month? We might look at water hygiene next month.
Ooh.
Possibly new feature in release 39. We'll see, but we'll let you know via LinkedIn and on the blog and the news feed in Alpha Tracker. Okay, right. Comfy one coming your way. Thank you for that. Hope that was useful. Hope that you managed to watch that over your sandwiches and it didn't disrupt your day too much. Really appreciate you attending, and we'll see you next time. Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye. Bye.